So hi everyone. So today we are speaking with Arjun. So Arjun applied to Columbia and got through Columbia in round one of 2020. So a very dramatic year for all of us. But he has a solid admit. He'll be starting next year. So today what we are going to do is that we are going to speak on two areas. So one is that since Arjun comes from family business slash entrepreneurial background, so we will speak with him that how should candidates with this kind of a background apply to top business schools and what kind of strategies one can use to get through. That's one. Second is that we will speak to him about his Columbia journey. How did he apply and what interview, how did he interview, what type of questions were asked. So that's the basic agenda. Along the way, I will keep giving you more insights about my experience of working with Arjun, what areas we highlighted, so on and so forth. But yeah, so that's the agenda for today. So with that said, Arjun, if you can quickly introduce yourself, number of years of work experience, so on and so forth.
Sure.
We'll start from there.
So hello everyone, I'm Arjun. As Akshat said, I got into Columbia in round one for the 2021 intake. Just to give you a little bit of a background about me, I am pretty young. I would say I'm 26 and a half right now. But I've been working for the past 7.5 years. That is because I'm a chartered accountant. So I started doing my articleship when I was about 19 years old. And since then, I've just been working. So I spent 2 years at Ernst & Young in audit. And then I worked for my family business in 2 years. I'll just pause a bit to give you a little background about my family business. So it will help set up the course for the rest of the conversation. So my family business is basically into retail and distribution, where we act as the middleman between manufacturers and all the small retailers. And we also have a few big retailers, like you would say, like in Phoenix, you see all those multi-brand stores and stuff. So we have a few of them as well, like a big bazaar or something like that. But mainly we cater to brick and mortar retailers, that to small retailers. So I worked for my family business for 2 years, where we work with multinationals like Adidas, Fila, and all stuff like that. And then after that, I moved to this LED company called as Syska LED. I'm not sure if everyone's heard the tagline that Irfan Khan says, but I worked with them for a year and a half. They are close family friends of ours. They are also a family-run business based out of Pune. So I got a good opportunity to be mentored by the CEO there. He treats me like a son. So learning the business from him was a completely different ballgame altogether. It opened my mind. But then to learn more about finance and touch those chords that I have about finance, I ended up joining Credit Suisse. So yeah, that's about me. And just to touch up right now as to what I'm doing, I'm still at Credit Suisse. I'm hoping to get a pre-MBA internship somewhere with some VC or PE fund before I go, and also finish my CFA level 2.
Cool.
That's about me till now.
Wonderful, man. So great introduction. So Arjun, a couple of questions that I frequently get, especially from CAs,
Sure.
that hey, I have done my articleship and I'm applying to business school. So this is the question that you also asked when we first interacted.
Yeah.
So how should I show my work experience? So what is your take on it? How do business schools look at your experience of articleship per se? Yeah.
So I think from what I would with a lot of interactions with other CAs, I wrote to every adcom everywhere asking whether they'll count my articleship as work experience and stuff. So I got a very common response, which I also found unfair, but at the same time relevant. Was that if it counts after your graduation, then we count it as work experience. If not, then it's not counted as work experience. So for me, my first year of articleship was during my last year of BCom. Yeah. So it fell into place because my other 2 years counted as work experience for me. So I was glad that it worked out like that. Also, I think people for chartered accountants, you need to not dwell so much on what you've done during articleship, because no matter what we say, we were still students at that time. So you must have handled the biggest of clients, but you should not be stuck up on articleship as such and make it a big part. I mentioned it in my resume, I mentioned it in my application, but I didn't say, I did this in my articleship. Just basics of what I've learned, because we're still students and it's a long time back for me. It was 7 years back for me. But yeah, I think even in my application, I wrote a note saying that 1 year of my articleship was before graduation and 1 year was after graduation. So I counted it in my work experience and I wrote it as that, and I didn't see any problem.
So
yeah, for anyone, yeah, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Because this is a question that a lot of CAs are confused about. I get a lot of queries from a lot of CAs regarding this. So it's a wonderful answer. That's precisely what you need to do, guys.
And just to add to that, we didn't mention my articleship anywhere in my application. So I think even if we didn't count it as such, it wouldn't affect my application as such. So I think like for chartered accountants, at least through this process, I learned that we don't need to be so stuck up to articleship being counted or not.
Got it. Right. Wonderful. So now, Arjun, switching gears and speaking a little bit more about another key concern that entrepreneurs and family business candidates have. So one is that, hey, I don't have much corporate experience. I come from a family business background, and that is where my experience is mostly focused on. So can I get into top schools? So I'm sure that you would have interacted with a lot of entrepreneurs. So what is your take on it?
So I honestly didn't. I got to speak to one person from Colombia who's done her family business, and in fact, she did her family business, and now she's working for an investment bank in India. So she's come back. Her family business is in Bombay. She wants to stay close to her family business, but it also like B school taught her that she needs a little more exposure. Her family business is actually into investments and buying and selling of and stuff like that. So she thought that it would be a good chance to like get exposure from an investment bank. But she's also not like gone to like a big corporate or anything like that. She's just spent time at a family business. So from that point of view, like speaking to her, I found out like even I thought which was relevant is that you don't need the corporate exposure as long as your work shows that you're mature enough. Like for me also, I've worked like probably say last 2 years at Credit Suisse, but for me, it was not a big part of my application. Like you also know it, we barely highlighted anything that I've done in any of my corporate pursuits. It was only about like my family business from start to finish. I mean, there was like probably 100 words about what I've done in my life till now. But I think, yeah, if you can show your passion for your family business, you show a clear goal that you have where you want to take your family business. I think that's important. And obviously your credentials need to be there. Like you can't just be like, oh, I have like 100 crore family business and not have anything else. But you need to be able to like show that, okay, I have been able to contribute to my family business. And this is what my plan and my goal is and why I need my MBA to get there. I think that's the most important thing for like in terms of a family business. I don't see it as like what do you call like an obstacle to overcome when you say that I don't have corporate exposure and I've worked only for my family business. That I think kind of shows your dedication and your passion towards your family business. Not everyone needs corporate exposure. Right. So and in terms of like top B schools also, like I found out, sorry, I'm talking a bit too much. Yeah. But I found a lot of like talking to the adcoms across like events and stuff. Like I would always talk about how good their family business program was. And eventually like everyone would like then, you know, sidetrack the conversation and like pay more attention to me. I'm not saying it like in a way or in a negative way, but they would try to explain how their family business program is really strong. Because it like you graduating from their school and scaling your family business to different heights also adds to their network. So I think it's kind of like a positive that you have a family business.
Right. So just quickly summarizing, right? So Arjun comes from a family business background. We majorly projected his background from a entrepreneurship / family business perspective. Correct. He had a little bit of corporate exposure, but we barely talked about it on the applications.
Correct.
So the bottom line being that if you come from a family business / entrepreneurial background, it's very possible to get into top schools like Columbia. So with that said, Arjun, what are like 2 or 3 top tips that you would like to share in terms of business school applications to entrepreneurs and people coming from family business backgrounds?
Okay. So the first one I would like to share is like you need to understand what your goals are very clearly. Mm-hmm. And once you decide that, okay, these are my goals, this is what I want to do, you need to stick to it and you need to be able to articulate it. And also like the flow. Like, okay, I've done X till now, like how B schools usually want it. Like, this is what I've done, this is what I want to do, and this is my path that I wanted to take in the middle. So it's just basically about that. And in terms of like our goals, I say that we wrote, I know how much I panicked towards the end and how I like overnight made changes. So I think in those terms, you need to be very clear about your goals. Keep it simple. Don't go over the top. We never went over the top with any of our goals. They were very simple, very apt to my profile. So I think from a family business point of view, I would say first is understand your goal. What is your goal? Make sure that it's achievable in like your short-term goal also, and your long-term goal is related to your short-term goal. And just like articulate, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I need to do, and how that will help me get to my goal. So that would be my first tip. In terms of second tip, I would say in your resume, don't try to write too much about like don't try to say, okay, this is my family business has been your XYZ. Try to be very to the point, saying that, okay, I've done this in my family business. Treat it like any other job that you've done. And like be articulate and concise about what you've done in your family business, because they don't have time to read your as such. That is my second. And I think, just you need to show your passion for your family business at the end of the day and a good understanding of it.
Sure.
I mean, for me, even in my interview, my family business came up so many times. So I think you need to be very clear about that.
So just adding on a couple of points here, so which Arjun spoke on his previous answer, that you also need to show growth, right? So that is what Arjun is saying on his last answer, that you need to show that your career has grown in a certain manner. So write relevant stuff. That is very, very important, because if you say that, hey, as an article assistant, I was helping the CEO, right?
No, there's no chance.
On his behalf, that might sound very impressive to you, but that's not logical, right? So just think about how your career has grown and accordingly structure your growth on the resume. That's very important. Just coupling that to the points that Arjun was saying, that show passion. I mean, if you're talking from an entrepreneurship perspective, very important. You need to do that. You need to make things relevant. You need to have relevant goals. So all these things need to be balanced, right? So great, Arjun. Now, we are sitting in 2020. A lot of people are losing their jobs, unfortunately.
Correct.
I'm just reading like Delhi University now has a cutoff of 100%, right, and whatnot. So, and you're fairly young, right? So you're 26.
To
Columbia, so you can connect better with youngsters. So
I didn't think I'll make the cut. To be very honest.
Right. So for college students who are starting out, right, in 2020, their career, and they want to get into Columbia. So someone who's starting out in like year one, what advice would you give them?
I would say that first, enjoy life. I mean, you don't have to think about what you're going to do 7-8 years. I wanted to do an MBA from since I was 12, because I used to interact with a lot of B school people who were my family and all. But I never took it seriously. I tried to enjoy my life. So I would say but I was always also very focused, as in I knew what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be in my life. So I think you need to, if you want to go to B school and you're thinking about it since your first year of grad school, I think you need to work towards that. From an early head start, you need to understand what kind of a profile you want, what they are looking at B school candidates. You can't even take a minute to relax, because your competition is not relaxing. There are people who are going to apply from Harvard and Stanford and IIT Bombay and all of that. So you need to be there and understand that, okay, I can have my fun, but I need to be focused at the same time. So you need to build your profile accordingly. I would say don't just focus on studies, because that's not the only thing that's important. Find something extracurricular, find something that you're passionate about. It could be volunteering. It could be even something as simple as singing, or just doing something out of your academics. So I think you need to find that as well, because it's not just about studies. And thirdly, I would say just network, because you have to network to get into these big companies. You have to network to get a good job after your grad school, which will add value to your profile in terms of applying to a B school. I wanted to be an investment banker when I was in grad school, but my dad said, no, join the family business for a few years at least. He always wanted me to take over, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be an investment banker. But then I joined for 2 years and I liked it, and I liked it more than banking, and it suited the passion of entrepreneurship for me. So I think from that point of view also, you need to be open and not just very rigid to your goals, or go with that herd mentality that, oh, everyone's doing investment banking, so when I want to do investment banking. So you need to understand yourself and accordingly then lay out the plan to go to B school. But also don't go to B school in terms of a herd mentality, because it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. Interacting with people from B school, I know how much I lack and how much I can learn from them. So it's going to be a real big challenge.
Right. So I think Arjun has already summarized those tips wonderfully well. So Arjun, now what we can do is that we can chat a little bit about your application process, the challenges that you faced, and your interview experience at Columbia. Right. So, okay.
Got it.
From that perspective, what would you say were your primary hurdles or challenges while writing your applications?
So I think my first and foremost challenge that I overcame was my confidence. I was a little low on confidence, because in terms of I thought in the start that I was from a overrepresented pool. Yep. Indian male candidate, finance, investment banking. So I thought, I have nothing as such. I didn't know how big having a family business would be at that point, and how my goals would help me. So I thought that would be one challenge. My second challenge was I come from not a tier 1 feeder. I'm not from an IIT Bombay. I'm not from a BITS Pilani. I'm not from, say, Sri Ram College of Commerce or something like that. So that was another challenge that I thought I would face, but I did not. I mean, my undergrad grades were not all the best. But apart from undergrad, like I have done stuff to show that okay, I can like compete. Like I'm a chartered accountant. My CFA I've cleared level 1 in the top 10 percentile. I've got a GMAT score of 750. So overall, like even interacting with you or with other fellow candidates who are applying, I then started getting confidence in terms of like okay, this part of my candidacy can be handled. Now the second part about my confidence was how to like chart out a plan, like towards my goals and what I've done. Because as I told you, I'm not like from a tier from the top companies or anything of that sort. So that was a challenge. But interacting with you, we got out like I think we were able to articulate a very good story and also like make it very Columbia specific in terms of okay, this is exactly what I'm going to do at Columbia and how Columbia is going to help me. So I think that helped me overcome my first challenge in terms of like getting confident that okay, now I have a decent profile to get it. Now my second challenge was to fit everything in that space. I mean, we so many times went overboard. So eventually it comes down to like researching the school very, very well. Like you need to understand which electives are going to help you because you can't just drop professors' names or drop electives. I actually like sat for one virtual elective which someone was teaching in supply chains. And when it came to the interview, my interviewer also asked me about that specific elective, and we had a conversation about it, which kind of helped to break the ice. So I think you need to research your school very well, which I think I did, and wasn't that much of a hurdle. And the third is to just stay calm. I mean, that is the biggest challenge in a B school application is to stay calm. And just if you're going with a consultant, I would recommend going with a consultant. I would in fact recommend going with Akshat only. But you need to stay calm. You need to like trust someone who you're working with. I didn't do that initially. I made like 10, 15 people read my essay. I changed my essays multiple times. 2 or 3 days before submitting it, we changed the essay goal. And then we had like a very heated conversation. But I think you need to stay calm in all of this. I know it's difficult to say. I know I'm saying it from a perspective now that I've gotten that you need to stay calm. But you need to like just like hold it together basically. Right. Which was one of the challenges.
Right. So, guys, basically what happens is that, of course, when as a candidate, you're writing your essays, your consultant will also be invested in it, right? It's not as if that the other person is not invested, but since you're looking at your story very personally, right? You will nitpick everything, right? I mean, literally like, hey, I've missed this comma or I've missed this, like, exclamation point. And you will overthink, right? Because of that, hey, I need to write, like, say something really fancy, so on and so forth. So, and if you're doing it for the first time, there will be a lot of doubts, right? You will get one advice from one person, second advice from the second person. You will try to incorporate all the advice. So it just creates a mess, right? So that is what Arjun is pointing out to, that you should try to prevent that. So yeah, so Arjun, I think those are wonderful tips. Those are wonderful challenges. It would help people to understand what kind of journey they might go through when they apply to business schools. And it's a complicated journey, nevertheless.
Correct. Yeah.
So now talking about the interviews. So if you can just explain the format, what type of questions were roughly asked to you, that would help the audience as
well. So basically, I applied on 31st August. I got my interview invite. I was actually at a friend's party and I got it at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was just about to go to sleep and I got the invite. I was asked to interview. I was actually given a short notice. Even you told me the same thing, that I was given a short notice of about say 4 days to prepare for my interview. It was with an current student from Columbia, second year student. And it was, I think, 26 September, which was a Saturday at 5:30 IST for me. So in terms of like preparation, I think we also spoke and I also read online a lot of like blogs where it was just said like keep it simple, keep it like a conversation. Don't go reading a script over there. I think the only answers, I mean, I obviously wrote down points to prepare on like 10, 15 questions, but I didn't like mug it up. I just said, okay, this is what I need to cover. And I wrote like a probably 2-3 page, like a summary, like bullet points. And just like before, like 1 hour before the interview, I went through it again to just make sure that, okay, I know that I need to cover everything. So now coming to the interview, my interview started horribly. Like the same problem that we were having where I couldn't hear you. Yeah. It started off like that, where I was trying to connect my AirPods. He couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear him. And then finally it got sorted out after 2 minutes. And he's like, okay, you know what? No problem. Let's just start over. And he was very helpful and very kind. And we spoke normally. He told me about his background and like I was paying attention because I knew that if I pay attention now, then when I need to ask him questions, I can ask him questions relevant to his background. So I think it's when someone's talking in the start, you need to pay attention like carefully because it's not only about you, it's about how you make the other person feel as well. So I paid attention. Then he asked me about what I want to do, like what is my background, tell me about yourself and stuff. So like I told him a little bit about my education. Then I told him about my professional career till now. But at that same time in my professional career, I highlighted more in terms of my family business because that's where I wanted to direct the interviewer to ask me questions about. I didn't want him to like ask me about Credit Suisse or Cisca. So I spoke more about my family business. And then I spoke a little bit about my personal interests and stuff, which actually kind of helped at that time because I'm a Real Madrid fan. My interviewer was a Barcelona fan. So like we spoke for 5 minutes about that to just like calm down my nerves. And then it was basic questions. Okay, he asked me about one leadership experience that I have, like where I've taken an initiative. I spoke about, so you have to be careful when you're answering. You need to make sure that you're talking about something that you've personally taken an initiative to lead a team. So that's what I spoke about. What I've done at Credit Suisse, one of my opportunities that I got to work with a multicultural team. So I try to even put in multicultural teams so that they think that, he just fit into a multicultural environment. So I think you need to select the answers a little carefully over there. Then after that, it was like the basics. Why MBA? Why MBA now? Why Columbia? How are you going to contribute at Columbia? Apart from like the retail and luxury goods club, what other opportunities are you going to look for in Columbia? And what would be my plan B? And actually for my plan B, he paid more interest because he was, I gave him like a 2-part answer, one without my family business and one with my family business. What would be my plans? So when I said without my family business, I spoke about investment banking and PE and VC. And that's when then he started cross-questioning a bit more, saying that, your background is perfectly suited for investment banking. So why do you want to go to your family business and stuff like that? So then you just have to like probably stick to your goals. You can't be flaky over there that, oh no, you're right, I want to switch there. Then they know that you're not confident enough. So I think that's important. Apart from that, then he asked me about questions that I had for him. So I asked him specific, like how an MBA has helped him change his career path from say X to Y. He was probably in investment management. He went into real estate. So I just spoke about that. Then we spoke a little bit about the real estate environment in the US right now. And then I asked him, so this very interesting thing happened that a friend of mine, like my sister's friend, he's at Columbia and he happens to be in the same learning team as my interviewer. What? So that kind of like even helped further to like just, get it a more, an informal vibe and a more relaxed vibe. So then, my second question was like, in terms of that, like he and this friend of mine have like a very different background. So they're on the same learning team. So I just wanted to understand more about learning teams and stuff like that. So then he spoke about that. But apart from that, he was very friendly. Then towards the end, he's like, oh, next time when you're coming, whenever you're in New York, just hit me up. We can catch up. And like, you can tell me more about yourself and stuff like that. So it was a very chill vibe. I think the starting 5 minutes were probably like hectic, which got me more worked up. But then once we got into the flow of it, I think I was more relaxed and like it was a very healthy conversation, which like I felt like I'm having with another professional who was just like, I have to learn about him. That's about it. I didn't see any hindrance as such.
Right. So,
but just an important tip I would give that control your narrative in the start. So push your interviewer towards where you want him to rather than letting him take the initiative in the start.
Makes sense. So I'll just quickly summarize. I think Arjun gave out a lot of wonderful points, right from how to build a connect with the interviewer to how to research the school. So just a few key points. One is that, at Columbia, either an alum or a current student is going to interview you, right?
Correct.
So don't be too buttoned up, right? And I'm sure that if you're listening to this interview, you can easily figure out that Arjun and even we don't interview
Correct.
and do things very formally per se, right? So from that perspective, so have that kind of a personal connect, so to say, right? I mean, don't keep it like super office-like, right? I mean, to say.
Yeah.
So that is very, very important. Yeah, you were saying.
I mean, after all, you're interacting with a student only. Yeah. So he's not interviewing you for a job or something. He's going to interview you to look at you as a classmate.
Precisely.
So if you be very uptight with him, it's not going to work. So he'll probably be thinking, can I go with this guy for a drink? That's actually what would probably be in his head.
Precisely.
So
And just to add to that, and also, of course, Arjun's interview went really well. And when you're being interviewed by an alum or a current student, it's not as if that they hold the decision to get you in or out.
Correct.
Right? I mean, they might hold the decision to get you out if they give a super negative feedback, but generally just, take it as a normal conversation, prepare your answers, right? I mean, that brings me to part 2, that before the interview, do prepare your answers. Arjun did the same. Summarize your answers, keep it short to the point. There are various techniques that I've been speaking about, so you can adopt those. Bottom line, your interview will be well-rounded. You would be asked questions on a range of things. Figure something about Columbia which really interests you, be it entrepreneurship, family business,
Correct.
VIP, as Arjun was saying. So anything that interests you, research it really well and make some effort, right? So for example, Arjun attended the virtual class, right? These kind of events would keep on happening, right, till next year. So do attend those. Incorporating all these points would be super useful from that perspective.
Correct.
So yeah, Arjun, great. All these insights were extremely helpful. Anything else that you feel that we might have missed? Anything important?
I think for Columbia, the most important thing is, why do you want to go to Columbia? That's simply it. I think for all these big schools, you need to just understand why you want to go, then how you'll be a good fit for their program. There's nothing else that you can't overcome in your application.
Cool. All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate you taking out the time, and best of luck.
No problem. Thank you.